Hello, Passport Bros. Welcome to another exciting video where I talk about the best countries for Passport Bros. So I hope you will find this video quite entertaining. I have spent quite a bit of time putting together data and research to help save you time and money when determining which countries to focus your efforts on, whether you are looking to find a spouse or just travel the country, date around, get to know the, the women there, experience the culture. I personally am more into finding a lifetime partner, so that's just me personally, but my video was dedicated to passport bros of all types, right? So, anyway, also I wanted to just briefly share a little bit about myself. I currently live near Salt Lake City, Utah. Unfortunately, the even though Utah is a very conservative state in the United States, I am having difficult finding women my age or younger that share similar thoughts, ideas, beliefs on traditional family values, and even many of the women that quote unquote say they are traditional, they are still mm, they still have bought into the whole Disney fantasy of being a princess, and they just expect princess treatment, and they're not willing to put in the effort to have a partner. And I'm personally, I'm even willing for 50-50%. But unfortunately, 50-50% does not exist, at least in my opinion, in the United States. And that's one of the reasons why I have decided to look elsewhere. So this video is going to be relatively short, so please watch until the end. Okay, so once again, I live in Utah, and I will show you my the top five best countries for Passport Bros. So here we go. United States. So the criteria I've used is monthly expenses for family, not including rent, monthly expenses for a single person, not including rent, average monthly rent in USD, and I only did it for my top five countries just to save time. And then I've combined or added the totally monthly expenses, basically just C&D added together. And you can see here cost of living versus United States, rent versus United States, whether or not they're English speaking country, if no, what percent of the population speak English, dominant religion, and whether or not the country has traditional values. And of course, my top five, they would need to have traditional family values or they would have been excluded from the results. Right? So here we go. Let's jump in. So I was surprised. The United States, I mean, I know it's an expensive country, which is quite obvious to anyone that lives here, especially with inflation nowadays. So monthly expenses for a single person, I would imagine most of my viewers are single men. So let me know in the comments if your average monthly expense, not including rent, is $1,173, and then you tack rent onto that, and it's probably another what, 1,200 to 2,000 depending on the size and the location you're in. But moving on, so I would say that the cheapest country, say if you're mainly concerned about expenses, the cheapest country was Malaysia, right? So the monthly expenses for family is 1676. Monthly expenses for a single person was 475.50. Average monthly rent, according to Google, was around 400 US. That gives you about $875.50 total monthly expenses, give or take. Right. So this is not exact. This is just designed to give you a ballpark estimate. So cost of living versus U.S. It's roughly 58.4% cheaper, and rent versus the U.S. is almost 82% cheaper. So very enticing there. The main issue I had with Malaysia was 63% of the population is Muslim. I think Muslim people are great, but I would say I'm more Christian. I'm more of a spiritual, not religious, but I'm more in line with Christianity and Buddhism personally. And yes, they do have traditional value, but for the Muslim, if you're Muslim, I think this is a clear winner. Um, However, my top two picks would have to be between Vietnam and the Philippines. So Vietnam came in as the third most expensive. So overall, the Philippines was the second least expensive country for Passport Bros. Now, these numbers for the rent, this is for the province area. So this is not like this is not Manila, BGC, Makati. This is the province, right? Um, Dumaguete, you could probably add another hundred to $200 on top of this. But I personally will be living in the province, so that's why I went with this figure. So everything, the approximate ballpark is you could live for roughly less than $1,000 in the province in the Philippines. It's almost 55% cheaper, cost of living wise, and almost 82%, more than 82% cheaper in rent. They speak predominantly English. It's a Catholic country, and yes, they're very family oriented, very traditional. So, for this reason, I put most of my efforts into finding my next, or not next, but my the woman I spend the rest of my life with in the Philippines. Right now, also Thailand came in as strong second. Um, Sorry, not Thailand. Sorry, I misspoke. Vietnam, I meant to say. So Vietnam monthly expenses 1627, monthly expenses for a single person 462, average monthly rent in USD was 500. So total monthly expenses for a single person is about $962. So still under the $1,000 threshold. Cost of living is roughly 60% cheaper than the U.S. and rent there versus the U.S. is 78%, almost 79% cheaper. Yes, they're English-speaking country. About half of the population speaks English. Okay, whereas in the Philippines, you're probably like 80% or greater. Especially with the younger generation in the Philippines, I would say majority of the youth speak English. Now, Buddhism for Vietnam. So this is a big one. Majority of the population are Buddhist. So if you are Buddhist, we have a clear winner here with Vietnam. That would be my recommendation. So if you're Buddhist, you might want to focus your efforts on Vietnam. If you're Muslim, focus on Malaysia. Now, me personally, I am focusing on Philippines because a majority of the population speak English, and they are a Catholic country, and I met my Filipina online and fell madly in love. So, yeah, that's why I'm going with the Philippines. Now, here are two other countries that I was rather surprised by. So, Portugal and Croatia. Okay, so Croatia was the fourth least expensive. So monthly expenses for a family looking roughly 2667 per month. Single person 762. Monthly rent around 750. So for a single person, you're looking roughly 1507 per month US. So it's 36% cheaper than the cost of living in the US in Croatia, and rent is about 68% cheaper than US. And then they are predominantly English-speaking country. They are Catholic, and yes, they have traditional family values. Now, I didn't do any additional research. This is mainly just statistical analysis of financial, among other basic factors. So if you are interested in more of a European country, definitely check out Croatia and Portugal. So Portugal, their monthly expenses for families around 2,500. Monthly expenses for a single person 710. Average monthly rent in USD is around 1,100, and this is like either a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment on these average monthly rent. So you should be able to find like a 1 or 2 bedroom apartments in these price ranges. Obviously, the bigger the house, more expensive. Also, the location is a primary factor in considering how expensive your rent will be. So in Portugal, you could expect your total monthly expenses to be around $1,800, give or take, for a single person. So cost of living is about 36% cheaper. Rent is approximately 43% cheaper than the U.S. Yes, they are English speaking. It's a Catholic country. And yes, they have traditional family values. So if you are, once again, looking in Europe, definitely consider Croatia or Portugal if you want to keep your finances down to a minimum. Now, one thing to consider, this is not financial advice, but if you can work online and generate, say, $4,000 or $5,000 a month, you could save a considerable amount of money. And if you're not of retirement age where you can collect Social Security, that will allow you to grow your retirement nest egg much more quickly, right? So, for example, in my case, Philippines is $903. I could work part-time teaching English online and make $1,000 quite easily, right? And then add that with other sources of income, which I'll go into greater details in future videos. But my goal is to plan on saving at least $1,000 a month and applying it into like an investment account and growing that account to kind of help have like a cash cushion in case something catastrophic happens and I need either medical bills or I need to fly back to the States for family emergency, that sort of thing. Also, I want to grow my retirement assets so that I can have a more comfortable retirement. That's another reason why I'm considering relocating to another country. So let's see. Let's take a look, and you may have never seen where these countries are on a map, but let's start off with Malaysia, and then we'll go to the Philippines and then Vietnam. All right, so Malaysia. This is Google Earth. It's a pretty cool tool. Check it out. It's free. You can download. So here's Malaysia. It is in Southeast Asia region. So here's Malaysia right here. Okay. Kuala Lumpur is a cool place. I want to go visit Kuala Lumpur at some point in my life. And living in the Philippines right here, it would just be a pretty relatively short flight from Philippines to Malaysia to visit there. So Malaysia, here's Philippines. And just to show you, for those of you that are interested, so here's Manila. This is, when you're flying into the Philippines, I have found through spending hours and hours and hours searching video through prices for flights, it's cheapest to fly into Manila and then get a connecting flight to another airport, right? So I will be flying into Manila, and then I will be going from Manila to Bacolod, Negros. So Negros Island is the island on which my fiance lives. She lives near a city called Cabancalan, which is right here. And then, of course, Dumaguete City is extremely famous within the Passport Bro movement. So here's Dumaguete, Cabancalan, Bacolod. And then another big city that you might want to check out is Cebu. So you could fly directly into Cebu, but it's actually, sometimes you could save yourself a few $100s to fly into Manila first and then catch a connecting flight to Cebu. Like my flight to go from Manila to Bacolod was like $50 just for the airfare. Now, if I booked from Salt Lake City directly to Bacolod, I'm looking at $2,500 for just a one-way ticket. It was insane. Or was that round trip? Anyway, it was crazy prices. It was maybe like $1,500 one way, $2,500 round trip. But to go from Salt Lake City to Manila and then catch a flight from Manila to Bacolod, it was like 650. So I saved a considerable amount of money by flying into Manila first and then catching a connecting flight. So sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. Hopefully you find that informative. And then let's see, Vietnam's right here. And so that's pretty cool. Like you've got the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia in this nice little triangle. So if you're unsure and you want to check out the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia, you can easily catch flights from, say, Manila to, I don't know, what is the capital of Vietnam? I'm not sure. But the flights, or maybe Ho Chi Minh City. Yeah, so actually I do have a return ticket purchased to go from Manila to Ho Chi Minh City, just so that they don't give me any hassle when I'm going through customs, because you need to have they give you a 30-day visa by default when you travel to the Philippines, but they want to know that you're leaving within 30 days. Otherwise, they won't let you into the country, is my understanding. So I had to get, I think it was like 28 days into the country, and then I've got a connecting flight to go from Manila to Ho Chi Minh City. It's just so that they don't give me any hassle. And it was like, I used points, but I'm not sure how much the USD equivalent would be. I'm sure it'd probably be less than $100. Flying within Southeast Asia from country to country is surprisingly affordable. Okay, so this right here, you're looking at on Google Maps. I'm sorry, Google Earth Pro. Vietnam, Philippines, and Malaysia, in my opinion, is the golden standard for the Passport Bro movement, and I would encourage you to do additional research on these three countries. Now, Philippines also, another thing to discuss is they probably have the best visa for especially U.S. expats. And recently they've actually changed it to where you can renew your visa online. So instead of having to go into Manila, Cebu, or into like I think they've got offices in like Dumaguete and Bacolod. I would have to travel all the way from Cabancalan to Bacolod, or from Cabancalan to Dumaguete to renew my visa. But now you can renew it online. So yeah, very handy. I'm not sure. I haven't done a lot of research on visas within Vietnam or Malaysia and the pricing. And if that's something you're interested in, definitely add a note in the comments section, and I'll be happy to review that in a future video. Okay, and then let's go back. So we did the Philippines, Malaysia, Vietnam, and then we'll do Croatia and Portugal. Okay, so this is where Croatia is located. It is close to Italy, right? Everyone's familiar with the shape of Italy. Looks like a boot. Croatia. So they do have some ocean, right? So it's an ocean front country. I don't know much about Croatia other than what I've done in research for this video. But from what I understand is they are a family-oriented country. The price of living is fairly affordable. So if you are interested in a more European style country, definitely check out Croatia. And then Portugal is not too far away, right? So you've got Croatia right here, and then you've got Portugal. So you could fly from Portugal to Croatia, spend some time in Portugal, fly to Croatia, or vice versa, right? And these would be my two pick if I were wanting to focus more on this part of the world. So Portugal, I think Lisbon is the capital, but I'm not sure. So, yep, this is where they are. Also, climate is a factor. These climates are probably not as humid, right? but then again, I'm not entirely sure. But the month I spent last year in Philippines, the humidity was rather hot. I went in August, so I was in there towards like mid-August, mid-September, and it was the rainy season. It rained a lot, so it was quite humid. But maybe after like a couple weeks, I did acclimate to the humidity. So regardless of where you decide to find your passport partner, I think that you will become acclimated fairly quickly to the local climate. So, yeah, for me, the answer was clear between the cost of living. The Filipinas are famous for how they treat their husbands, whether you are a Filipino or an expat from America or even another country. They will treat you with love, kindness, respect, and they will put you um, very high in their priorities, right? I mean, maybe you might not be top priority, maybe, depending on the Filipino, right? But their family will probably always be their first priority, but you should be like second or third, in my opinion. Um, so, yeah, this is my number one choice. But once again, you've got Vietnam, Malaysia also to consider if you're looking at Southeast Asia. All right. So that is it for today. Please add any comments below if you want me to go over some additional information regarding these countries, or if you want me to do some research on another country. I'm open to doing that as well. And also give me any ideas for future videos. Thank you.